love you. I promise to always love you. 'Cause I think
R&B and soul didn't just rise on powerful voices. It was built on guitar heroes most people never even learned by name. Today, we're counting down 12 underrated guitarists whose riffs shaped icons, defined eras, and changed the sound of black music forever. From the quiet session legends to the funk innovators, these are the players who rewrote the rules, without ever stepping into the spotlight. I still remember the first time I heard Cornell Dupree's guitar on a record. It was like someone had bottled smoothness and poured it straight into the speakers. You might not know his name, but Cornell Dupree played on over 2,500 recordings. That's not a typo. 2,500. From Aretha Franklin to Donny Hathaway, his playing was everywhere, and yet he stayed behind the scenes. What makes Dupree so special isn't flashy solos or wild stage antics, it's his touch. He could make a simple chord feel like it had layers of emotion, like it was breathing. I was sitting in the studio once, watching him work on a track, and it was mesmerizing. He'd lay down a rhythm so clean and effortless that it sounded like magic, yet you could feel the groove deep in your chest. Every note had purpose, every strum whispered soul. The way he connected with singers was incredible. Aretha's voice would soar, but Cornell's guitar would cradle it, like a quiet companion you didn't realize you needed. And Donny Hathaway? His piano lines danced with Dupree's gentle, melodic riffs in perfect harmony. This was a guitarist who understood emotion before speed or technique. He was the invisible hand behind some of soul's most iconic moments, and the music world owes him a debt it barely acknowledges. Then there's Eddie Hazel. Now, if you've ever heard a guitar wail like it's speaking, Eddie was the one talking. He was part of the Parliament funk family, but he brought something almost psychedelic to soul and funk. Watching him play was like watching someone channel pure feeling straight into sound. I remember hearing his solos for the first time, and I swear my brain couldn't process what was happening. Every note was wild, emotional, and unpredictable, yet it never felt chaotic. Hazel could bend a string, make it scream, and suddenly you felt everything he was feeling. Joy, pain, anger, love, all in one phrase. He influenced so many neo-soul players later on because he taught them that guitar could sing with personality, not just accompany a beat. He wasn't just a player, he was an experience. And while most of the spotlight went to Parliament Funkadelic's vocalists and showmanship, Eddie's guitar was the secret thread connecting it all. You couldn't see him front and center, but without him, the music would have been missing its heart.
Stopped along the way. Well, I got down on...
Bobby Womack was a unique case. Everyone knew him for his voice, but if you sat down and listened closely, you realized his guitar was just as much a part of his genius. I once caught a glimpse of him in the studio with Sam Cooke. There was this energy in the room, like a quiet storm.
He knows I'm gonna stay, knows I'm gonna stay. Told him so, California dreaming.
Womack's guitar lines weren't flashy solos. They were emotional narratives, telling stories that words alone couldn't capture. He had a way of bending a chord or sliding through a note that made you feel like he was speaking directly to your soul.
California dreaming. Got to get some sun.
On Sam Cooke's tracks, his guitar subtly elevated the emotion. Later, on his own records, his playing carried entire songs, giving them a depth and rawness that made you pause and just listen. Womack understood that guitar could be a storyteller, a confidant, and a bridge to the listener's heart, all at once.
Before I blow my mind, California.
He wasn't about being seen as a guitar hero, but his fingerprints are all over the soul music landscape. His music, his tone, his touch. It's timeless. If you close your eyes, you can hear the warmth, the intimacy, the soul in every note he played.
You know I wanna be your lover, man, but I can't stand it.
And finally, Jimmy Nolen. If Cornell Dupree was smooth and Eddie Hazel was emotional, Jimmy was the heartbeat of funk and R&B. I remember first trying to play like him. It was impossible.
I like to see the way my baby walks. I even like the way she...
His invention of the chicken scratch guitar rhythm for James Brown wasn't just a trick. It became the foundation of funk. That scratchy, muted rhythm made you move without even thinking. Watching Nolen play live was like watching a master sculptor at work. Every strum, every percussive hit on the strings, every tiny syncopated rhythm was precise but felt effortless. You couldn't take your eyes off him because the groove seemed to flow through his fingertips straight into the crowd.
Well, maybe someday, and maybe you'll learn to love me too.
His impact isn't just historical, it's everywhere today. Listen to modern R&B, neo-soul, or even hip-hop samples, and you'll hear echoes of Nolen's style. He was the architect behind the groove, the unsung hero who shaped the sound of soul from the ground up. I still remember the first time I heard Earth, Wind and Fire on vinyl. It wasn't the horns, not even the vocals, though those were amazing. It was the guitar, that shimmering, tight, precise rhythm that seemed to float on top of the groove but never got in the way. That was McKay. He was the rhythmic glue behind the band's biggest hits. Every strum, every muted chord, every crisp little embellishment was intentional. I was lucky enough to catch him live once, and it was hypnotic. He didn't need to shred or solo endlessly. His playing made the music breathe, made it sparkle. Songs like September or Sing a Song weren't just about melody. They were about the texture, the shimmer, the subtle brilliance of McKay's guitar weaving through everything. He was the kind of guitarist you didn't notice at first because it felt natural, effortless, and perfectly placed. But take him away, and the music loses its heartbeat. McKay taught me that sometimes less is more. That rhythm can be just as powerful as lead, and soul comes from taste, precision, and touch.
You just thank the Lord.
Curtis Mayfield had this almost magical gentleness in his playing. I remember watching him lay down a track for the first time. His fingers barely pressed the strings, yet each chord was rich, emotional, almost fragile.
Picking up passengers, coast to coast.
You could feel the vulnerability in his playing, the storytelling in every note. Mayfield didn't just play guitar, he communicated through it. Those open-voiced chords and soft strums reshaped how soul guitar was played. Listening to him on tracks like People Get Ready or Superfly was like listening to a voice within a voice. The music spoke on multiple levels, and his guitar was the heart beating quietly beneath the surface.
Chances grow thinner, for there's no hiding place.
What struck me most was how accessible it sounded. It wasn't technical flash for its own sake. It was human, it was touching, and it drew you in. Curtis showed me that soul in music isn't about speed or complexity. It's about connection, emotion, and honesty.
You're the only one I love, and you can't change that.
Before he became a household name with Ghostbusters, Ray Parker Jr. was the definition of a session master. I had the privilege of seeing him in the studio with some of the biggest names in soul: Marvin Gaye, Barry White, Chaka Khan, Bill Withers.
Change your telephone number, and you can change.
He wasn't there for applause. He was there to serve the music. His guitar was clean, precise, and so tasteful that it lifted the songs without ever overshadowing them. Watching Ray play was like seeing a surgeon at work.
You can change the color, and you can change the closure.
Every chord, every lick, every little riff was deliberate. He could take a song and make it groove harder, shine brighter, and feel warmer, all without calling attention to himself.
You're the only
Ray Parker Jr. taught me the power of subtlety in music. You don't need to dominate a song to change it. You don't need to be flashy to be unforgettable. Sometimes the greatest impact comes from restraint, intelligence, and feel. Teenie Hodges was like a magician of rhythm. Working with Al Green, he didn't just play guitar, he breathed life into every track. His rhythm style was warm, hypnotic, almost like it had its own pulse, and it became the foundation of the Memphis soul sound of the 70s. I remember listening to Love and Happiness and Let's Stay Together, and realizing that the magic wasn't only in Al Green's voice, it was in Teenie's guitar. Every muted strum, every perfectly timed chord change added depth, groove, and emotion. It was effortless but deliberate, simple but profound. Hodges' playing taught me about the importance of feeling the music from the inside out. He wasn't trying to show off. He was trying to make people move, feel, and connect, and that's exactly what he did. Note after note, record after record. I'll never forget the first time I saw Michael Hampton play. He was just a teenager, maybe 17, but when he picked up that guitar, it was like watching lightning strike. He was part of the P-Funk universe, and you could feel the energy he brought to every note. His playing wasn't just about speed or technical skill, though he had both. It was about soul, passion, and presence. Watching him perform, you realized he could fuse rock power with deep R&B feeling in a way almost no one else could. A simple riff could feel like a punch in the chest 1 second, a gentle caress the next. Hampton didn't just play, he told stories with his guitar, carrying the energy of Parliament Funkadelic into every song, making each track feel alive, electric, and unpredictable. He was young, yes, but he played like he had lived 1,000 lifetimes of music. That raw power combined with emotional depth made him one of the most underrated yet transformative figures in R&B and funk guitar. Then there's Catfish Collins. Now when most people think of Parliament or James Brown, they think of the singers, the showmanship, the horns. But Catfish? He was the rhythmic backbone, the glue holding everything together. Watching him play is like seeing a master at work. Every muted strum, every percussive hit, every syncopated rhythm is calculated to make your body move without thinking. He didn't just accompany the music, he created it from the ground up. That raw, funky energy in songs like Cold Sweat or Parliament Grooves, that's Catfish. His style wasn't flashy solos, it was foundational, indispensable, and profoundly influential. I remember feeling it in the club one night. His guitar was a living thing, pulsing through the room, making everyone sway, bounce, and lose themselves in the groove. Catfish taught me that rhythm isn't just a background element. It is the song, and when it's done right, it can define an entire era of music. Leo Nocentelli is another one of those names that doesn't get shouted enough, but his playing is everywhere if you know where to listen. The meters were already tight, already funky, but Leo brought syncopation, precision, and groove mastery that turned every track into something unforgettable. I remember listening to him on Sissy Strut and feeling like the guitar was a conversation, not just an instrument. Each note, each muted strike, each little riff spoke volumes. The grooves he created didn't just make people dance, they became part of the DNA of funk, soul, and even hip-hop thanks to endless sampling decades later. Leo's genius wasn't in showing off. It was in crafting rhythms so perfect, so infectious, that you didn't realize he was leading the music. That's the sign of a true master, making it look effortless while changing the game behind the scenes. And finally, David T. Walker. If you ever want a definition of a quiet legend, here he is. This man played on some of the most iconic records in music history. Marvin Gaye, Stevie Wonder, Jackson 5, Minnie Riperton, Barry White, and yet most people have no idea who he is. I had the privilege of hearing him live once in a small studio session, and it was humbling. His playing isn't about flash or speed. It's about taste, tone, and emotional depth. Every chord, every slide, every subtle riff seems perfectly placed. You can hear him weaving through a song, supporting the vocals, elevating the rhythm, filling in gaps you didn't even know were empty. He's the kind of guitarist who makes everything around him better, and yet he never takes the spotlight. Listening to David T. Walker, you realize the guitar can speak without shouting. It can comfort, it can energize, it can carry a song on its back. And he does all of this effortlessly. Truly, he is the most underrated of the underrated, the quiet giant whose fingerprints are all over soul music's greatest moments. The journey doesn't end here, R&B soul lovers. Watch this next.